Добрый вечер. Мы сегодня в гостях прекрасного индийского музыканта Абхая Рустума Сопори. Он представляет великолепную династию в нескольких поколениях музыкантов, которые играют на инструменте необычном для нас, называемом сантур. Можно это все узнать, конечно, через Google, но гораздо интереснее сегодня лично познакомиться и услышать все это от самого Абхая Сопори.
Right, so good evening. You can gain a lot of insights from Google nowadays, but it's far more captivating to listen the story of Abhay Rustum Sopori ji from him in his presence himself. So let's start. Did you ever have any aspirations to pursue something other than music? Was there any choice with you, or you just wanted to go with pursuing music?
Well, first it's such a pleasure to speak to both of you. And we as young children, when we are born and after a few years, whether we have a direct training or indirect training, but when you belong to a legacy, there is this indirect learning which always is happening. You are listening to your guru, it could be your father or your mother, in my case, my father. So listening to him, not just after birth, but before birth, So for me, music was something which was always there. And I knew that music would always remain a part of my life. But then there was a conscious decision which I took, where I decided that I'll only take music as my career and not opt for anything else. Academically, I have been a management student. I was too much involved into sports. I have been a national level hockey player. And
Grass hockey. Grass hockey.
Yes, grass
Not
hockey.
ice hockey.
No, not ice hockey. But then the decision was always left upon me. My father, my guru Pandit A.R. Sopori, he never told me that since you belong to this legacy, so you have to take up music. And that's something which is really special in our family. That learning music is compulsory. There's no choice. But taking up a field as a career is the choice is left upon the individual. So an individual has the right to decide whatever he wants to do. So despite having this legacy for over 3 centuries, still that openness, I would say the broad thinking that has been there, and perhaps that's the reason that the legacy could actually flourish like anything. And in my case, when I decided that I'll take up music, so there were various factors which actually drove me into taking music as a full-time career, not doing MBA simultaneously, not working in a multinational company and then also performing. One was the expectation of people, and I think I'm really blessed that way, that people expect things from me, and they expected at that time also, when I was in my school. Second was my own belongingness to my legacy, the responsibility that I had, the duty that I thought I had towards my legacy. And then the third, which I say that is the most important, and that is your own interest.
Yes.
Because if somebody doesn't have an interest in engineering, and just because the grandfather and the father and somebody in the family would have been a great engineer, and you make that person an engineer,
Dynasty, yeah.
he'll be fed up. And I think one of the best examples to give is the COVID times that we faced. I mean, if you would speak to musicians, they would say, "Oh, we got time for practice."
Oh,
You know? So even in the worst, when your profession is your hobby, so even in the worst conditions, you find something fruitful. You find some means of a larger perspective in terms of your own development, your own working. And then, of course, there has been another factor apart from these three, which I say the blessings of Her Holiness Sri Mataji, Nirmala Devi Ji. Because my life changed when I met Sri Mataji.
really?
Oh, yes.
Mm.
So, when I met Sri Mataji, that was the time when I was in this confusion state. Whether I should take management as my career, whether I should be a sportsman, or whether I should take music as a full-time career. And somewhere I won't say I feel, I know it happened. She directed my life where it should have been. So if destiny is there, so that was done by Sri Mataji in my life.
That's so amazing to know. So, can you recall your first performance on stage with Pandit Sopori ji, and how was it like? What was the experience like and emotions when you first performed with him?
Well, if I talk about music in general, so I don't remember. It has been told to me, so that's why I know about it. I think I was about 3 years old when I sang in one of Papa's productions. So it was a song in which there's a child who grows into a man after first 2 lines of the song. It was a radio feature, and I sang those couple of lines, which was featured on a young child, and then it turns into a young man, and the feature goes forward. And the other voice was, of course, a very well-known voice from Kashmir, one of Papa's disciples only. So that was my first professional, I would say, thing with Papa, working with him. And as I said, I still don't remember when we recorded that. After that, in mid 1990s, I think around 95, so there was this concert which happened in Delhi, and I was performing with Papa. That was my first major public concert. Before that, I used to also play sitar. So I had played sitar in many functions, even in my school functions, because playing santoor in school was too difficult, tuning 100 strings and all. And I had also given some concerts, like batter concerts, solo batter concerts, and accompanied Papa in a couple of them. But this was like my debut. It was in Sri Fort Auditorium in Delhi. And it turned out to be a nightmare for me. So on stage, my father kept the raga same and changed all the compositions. And I could barely play. As it is, you have that, it's so difficult to be with your guru on stage, your first performance, and then nothing as per what was decided at home. And I cried after the concert, and I told my father, even my mother said, "What happened? At home you were playing properly, what happened on the stage?" And then I spoke to my father, and he said, in a very simple and yet definite manner. And he said, next time when you come onto the stage, be prepared.
Yes.
And next time when I went on the stage, I had so much of his threat that I had nothing else revolving in my mind. And gradually I realized that I didn't have this stage threat, because I always had the threat of my father, what he would do on stage. And at the same time, when I would go on stage, I would go well prepared. You know, if he would say, suppose, Rag Yaman, so then I would think, what all ragas can he change into immediately? You know, because it's santur, so you can't change scales. If you are into a minor scale, you can't change into a major scale all of a sudden. You know, santur, you don't do that. So I knew, if it's Yaman, where all can he go? He could go into Purya Kalyan. Okay, fine. So I should know the composition. I should practice
must be
Purya
ready.
Kalyan. I should see that as well. Suppose if it's Gavti. So I would practice all the ragas which revolve around that particular scale. So say for example, Rageshri, Jinjoti, Des, and other ragas around that scale. So what he did was not something which just happened. He knew what he was doing. And in my very first performance, he taught me that I cannot be on stage half prepared. Because I was half prepared. You know, it was my first concert. I just prepared what was supposed to be played.
Yes.
So I think that way Papa has been a crude teacher. You know. And there's a lot which I learned from him on stage. I think amongst his students, I would be the one whom I would consider who has spent the least time with him in this learning process. But on stage, because I always had this indirect learning going around, you know, listening to him, sitting in front of him and seeing how he is creating the variations, the movement of the hand, you know, what are the combinations of different movements that can be used for different strokes on the instrument. Like we do a lot of glides and all. So what is the exact position? And I'll tell you a very funny incident. It's funny in the sense that you'll laugh actually, but it was like a shock to me. In the COVID times, I told my father that one of the hand movements which was not coming properly in my hand, and I told my father, I said, Papa, it's not coming actually. He said, yes, I know it's not coming. So I said, what should I do? He said, well, you have been playing it wrong all through your career, so that's why it's not coming. And I said, Papa, you are telling this to me after more than 2 decades? And he said, well, you didn't ask me, I didn't tell you.
Wow.
Today you are asking me, so
If you
come and
want to
sit.
know, please.
Yeah. So he said, today you are asking me. Before this you never asked me. So come, I'll tell you what this is. And it took me, 10 seconds to understand what was to be done.
Wow.
And almost 20 years plus, I just couldn't do that. So there are certain things which happen, and this is something very special about Indian classical music. We always say that books cannot give you the knowledge. Books can tell you what to do, how to do. Books can tell you you should jump like this into the river. But books can't teach you how to swim.
Yes.
So for that you need to be with your guru. And what your guru tells you, that's not written anywhere. And so even like you asked me, my first performance, it was a learning experience. Till the last performance which I had with my father in December 21, that in itself was a learning experience. And even today, when physically he's not here, and I still feel him, he's still guiding me, still teaching me, and I can feel that.
Absolutely. So it will be a privilege for us to know about your musical dynasty, if you may want to share something about.
So my family lineage, or the gharana as we call here, it's Sufiana Gharana of Kashmir, and the tradition is called the Sopori tradition, the Sopori Parampara. I have added the surname to the name of the gharana. So today, all the disciples of my father and all those who are learning from me, if you ask them, so or my biodata, it says Sopori Sufiana Gharana of Kashmir. So I've added Sopori to the existing gharana that we had, identifying the Sopori name to the gharana, which had a reason to it, because this is classical music, and in classical music people easily identify Sopori with the santoor, and that was one of the reasons. And also in terms of the the generations which have been there, I thought it's better that I add the Sopori surname to the name of the gharana. It's a 300-year-old plus family tradition, and these 300 years are something which we know. I'm sure it must have been more than that, but then we don't have any documented facts regarding proofs for that, because the reason for that is in 1947, after the partition, the India-Pakistan partition, in October 1947, we had the Qawwali raid in Kashmir. So we had the Qawwalis and the Pakistani forces when they attacked Kashmir. And our home was destroyed by the Qawwalis that time. So all age-old instruments, manuscripts, documents, the paintings of old masters, everything was got destroyed. And then in 1990, when we had the problem in Kashmir and we had to leave Kashmir and come to Delhi that time, so somebody had occupied our place and he destroyed whatever was left. So we don't have records beyond these 300 years. So since we don't have it, so we say it's a 300-year-old tradition. With over 10 generations, the tradition has been there. So if we go the, starting from, say, even from my side. So my father, Pandit Bhajan Sopori, then Pandit Shambhunath Sopori, my grandfather, then his father, Pandit Samsarchand Sopori, his father, Pandit Shankar Pandit, his father, Pandit Suraj Pandit, and then we have 3 more names. But if you see, it's Abhay Sopori, then for next 3 generations it's Sopori, and before that it's Pandit Shankar Pandit. And before 3 generations, they were known as, the names of the ancestors are Pandit Somju, Pandit Siddhju and Pandit Sahstraju. Now it's Ju. So that Ju was basically in Kashmir when they would hail somebody with utmost respect in the field of spirituality or music. So they were called as, like we say Ji in Hindi. So in Kashmiri they would call that
Ju.
person Ju. So they wouldn't use the surname, the first name and the Ju. Primarily in spirituality and music, because both go hand in hand together. Otherwise, the surname has been Pandit. Our family surname has been Pandit. All these masters were deeply into spirituality. They were all devotees of Lord Shiva and Shakti. And music was means of worship for them. They wouldn't perform for money, and Papa would make people laugh at times that Soporis were basically poor people. We didn't have palaces and all. And because they were all into worship. But yes, they were musicians who were saints. So I won't say they were saints who were musicians, like, I mean, we have saints who play instruments.
Yeah.
It was the other way around. They were musicians, but they were very spiritually elevated, and it's been a family of saints in our family. Music therapy was something which was practiced by them. And the traditional doctors of Kashmir, the Hakims and the Veds as we call them, in their prescription they would write that you go to any of these masters like Pandit Shankar Pandit and listen to this particular music piece. Now whosoever would come to them, so they would say, okay, say after 2 days I am going to perform for a saint, so you come there, because they wouldn't otherwise perform. This was actually changed by my grandfather, who took music to the masses. And before my grandfather, they were very rigid in these things. You know, for them it was like, we cannot perform for general public for money. Public could come to their concerts, unlike other Sufi musicians.
Yes.
Who wouldn't just allow people to come to their concerts. They would say they are not into this system, so they cannot either learn or they can't even understand. But in our family, they were open to having people listen to them, but nobody could tell them, okay, I will invite you. So they wouldn't go, and they would take their bag and go into the mountains or somewhere. Then for next 6 months nobody knew where they were. My grandfather is actually hailed as the father of classical music in Jammu and Kashmir, because he's the one who introduced classical music there. And 5 generations back in our family, they were all practicing Sufiana music. Yes, our repertoire was a combination of Shaivi Sufi music, which is the devotional aspect of Shaivism and Sufism musically, and the compositions were like that. So they were very different from rest of the Sufiana traditions of Kashmir. My grandfather introduced music as a subject in J&K. It's his thing which has been, it's his gift to this country. And then of course, I mean, he had some more than 35,000 students. I mean, that's the kind of number of people he taught. And but how we got our surname Sopori is that when my father's great-grandfather, Pandit Shankar Panditji, he would travel to the, if we talk about the present boundaries, so the present Pakistan area, the present Pakistan occupied Kashmir area. So he would travel on that belt and go to Punjab, because going to Punjab from Jammu side was not possible. Mountains were closed because of snow and all. and the height of the mountain was also quite, so they could travel that way. So he would travel that side with saints, with musicians. So it was, who is this musician who comes from Kashmir? So they said, oh, he's Pandit Shankar Pandit, son of Pandit Suraj Pandit. Where does he stay? Sopor. So Sopor became Sopori.
Oh.
And our name, we got our name as Sopor. Yeah, so from the place Sopor, we got our surname Sopor.
Oh.
Otherwise, our surname was
Pandit.
Pandit. And as I said, they were into music therapy and healed thousands and thousands of people. In fact, Pandit Shankar Pandit ji, he once treated one of the landlords, great landlords of the king, and he gave him a huge land in Sopor, and he said, I don't want it because we don't do it for that.
We are Sufi.
But yeah, and everybody forced, no, you have to take it, you have to take it. So on compulsion, he took hardly 10% of what he was offering. I mean, what he was offering was like kilometers.
Yeah.
So he took some acres. By the time he reached home, the news had already reached home. He stepped in, and his wife, our great grandmother, he entered and she said, you got sold at this age? So he took a U-turn and went back, and he said, even my family is not happy with me. I told you we don't need it. And but they insisted, and finally 1% of actual land what he was offering, which was some acres and acres of land, he took that on one condition. He said, there'll be a cottage here where saints will come and stay.
Yes.
And there'll be a stage here where musicians will perform. So this became a place of worship and performance. If I'm not wrong, the place is called Tikar, or was called Tikar if the name is not changed now. But I don't remember the place properly. So I would say this was the first official stage of Kashmir, rather I would say Jammu and Kashmir, where musicians from outside Kashmir would come and perform. And so this has been basically the lineage of saints and musicians in our family. And I think what the family was, you could see that from my father's personality. So that's been the...
Who started to play on santur?
Santur has been our family instrument. It's
From
been,
that time.
it's been running.
We are speaking about santurists, all of them.
All of them would play santur.
Because
In fact, ours is the only santur family. So we are the traditional custodians of the santur. Because many families in Kashmir who practice Sufiana music, the most prominent Sufiana family, their main instrument was Kashmiri bowing instrument, Sazi Kashmir. They took santur, but they themselves say that their main instrument was Sazi Kashmir. It's a bowing instrument of Kashmir. And there is another, tradition which had Kashmiri sitar. We had santur, sitar, the Kashmiri sitar, and that's how my grandfather took Indian classical sitar. And one of the reasons why I feel that this tradition would have been more than 300 years old, because if this is the main tradition of santur, then how can this be only 300 years? It's just that all the records are destroyed. So we don't have, I don't have the names beyond these.
in Google we heard about reconstruction of this instrument by your father.
Yes. So basically the Kashmiri santur, which was played by all these masters, was in the typical Kashmiri style. Our style was slightly different from that of other Sufiana masters and great Sufiana masters. They also played wonderful santoor. But in our family, because classical music had also, because Pandit Shankar Pandit was the one who reintroduced classical music in our family. So, me, Papa, my grandfather, his father, and then his father, Pandit Shankar Pandit. So 5 generations back, Indian classical music was introduced in Sopori family, reintroduced. Sorry. When I say reintroduced, because many scholars believe, and I also believe, that classical music was part of Kashmir. And due to various social disturbances and all, we lost the culture of classical music there. And then this got reintroduced by my great grandfather. So there was a slight difference of santoor playing in our family, but it was primarily the Sufiana style of playing the santoor. When my father was born, that was 1948, so he was hardly few months old when my father's grandfather, Pandit Samsarchand Sopori ji, he took my father under his, what I would say, under his training thing, where he decided that he would keep Papa with him when he would practice. So he would get up early in the morning at around 3 o'clock and then go to my grandparents' room and ask them to give Papa to him.
Kidnapping?
Yeah.
Wow. Spiritual kidnapping.
And he would take young Papa, a 2-month, 3-month-old kid, and then make him sit beside him. Sit in the sense like a 2-3-month kid can't sit, so just lie him down. And then he would do his practice. And because he would fall asleep, so he would take a dip of his tea, and which is not done to children. When a child is on mother's milk, there's nothing else that is given to the child. But in my father's case, he would take a small drop of his tea, which was like very strong tea, herbal tea, but very strong, and put that one drop on the lips of my father. So my father's sleep would just disappear. Now, if I compare that with the lifestyle of my father, when we were in Kashmir, that is first 11 years of my life, I never saw him sleeping. Because when I would, or my brother, we would go off to sleep, he would be practicing. When we would get up, he would still be practicing. He would barely sleep for 1.5 to 2 hours. And he didn't need more sleep beyond this. Certainly, spirituality and music plays a role. Otherwise, scientifically, medically, humanly, it's not possible. And tea was another thing which was part of Papa's life. Perhaps this was
After
the reason.
this.
Oh yeah, because Papa was fond of tea, and he could drink tea all day and night. But if you see the system in which his grandfather put him right from his age of 2 or 3 months, and Papa was around 6 years when his grandfather passed away. In those 6 years, he gave so much to Papa, both musically and spiritually, that Papa had all the reasons to work on them when he came under the tutelage of my grandfather. And Papa started working on the santoor. So from santoor, what it was, to the santoor, what it is today, is basically what he has gifted it to the world. And as somebody told me, basically a saint from Himachal Pradesh, he visited our place just 3 or 4 days after Papa passed away. And he told us, he said he had come to this planet for this purpose. The purpose is done, so he went back.
Yeah.
He created a complete instrument. He created an instrument which didn't have any of these technicalities which are required for Indian classical music. And today, there's nothing which cannot be produced on the santoor. Santoor had a range of 1.5 octaves, the Kashmiri santoor. Today, santoor has a range of 5.5 octaves. So, Indian classical ragas require octaves. 3 octaves is something which is necessary in Indian classical music. So, we have those 3 octaves as normal playing, like ni sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa, and then 2.5 octaves which we generate by the pressure technique. So the Drupadang, it's there in the, and he created this style, what is known as Sopori Baj. Baj means style, so Sopori style. So Sopori Baj is the santoor of Sopori Baj has all the technicalities which are needed for playing Indian classical music. It has all the technicalities which are needed for Drupad system, Khayal system. He developed the bowls, the glides. So when he started playing the main, so he realized that the resonance is less. So he added sympathetic strings. Chikari is very important in instruments in Indian classical music. He added chikari. We have a tumba. Now tumba balances our sitting style, and at the same time it balances the higher and the lower octave. It acts like a sound box. So we have a tumba. Apart from that, developing the different kinds of strokes, the bowls that we play. Developing the glides in such a way that we can actually reproduce the vocal system. So for any instrument, it's important that we go as close as possible to the vocal system in Indian music. Santoor has reached its pinnacle, I think, in terms of innovations. So there's nothing which you can do on this instrument. So he made santoor as a complete instrument and gave it to this world. So that's his the great contribution for santoor that he did. And we, as be it me as his son or all the disciples, we have a complete instrument and we have to work on that instrument, do our practice, and move ahead.
So, the children of many legendary maestros from the last few decades continue to enchant listeners with their exceptional performances, like Rahul Sharma ji, Anushka Shankar ji, Zakir Hussain ji, Rakesh Chaurasia ji, and of course yourself are a part of that distinguished list. So the question is, do you form any friendships or collaborations with other peers, or do you follow each other's work by any chance?
There are two things to it. Well, of course, I think the first thing is that we are all blessed to be representing our gurus, our parents, like my father in my case. And that brings a lot of responsibility as a representative of the legacy. As far as collaborations are concerned, it happens at times. Either it could be a direct collaboration, or I would say like an indirect one. Like, say, for example, my father and I, we started a music academy and organization called Samapa. And Samapa is basically a Sopori Academy of Music and Performing Arts. So we do lots of concerts, functions, and in one of the concerts we invited Rakesh Chaurasya to perform. So though it was not a duet with me, but then he was part of the festival. Similarly, I've heard Anushka Shankar's fusion works, absolutely brilliant, and wonderful compositional work is there. So one certainly gets to hear also each other at times. And of course, I have heard live concert of Ustad Zakir Hussain ji also. In one of the concerts, I was performing, and then Ustad Zakir Hussain had to perform. So it was a wonderful, thing to listen to him, because for me it was after many years to listen to him in a concert directly. You of course hear recordings and all. And similarly, one of the great legends of Indian music, Ustad Abdul Halim Jafar Khan sir, who was a very well-known sitar, legendary sitar player. We call them four pillars of sitar: Pandit Ravi Shankar ji, Ustad Vilayat Khan sahab, Pandit Nikhil Banerjee, and Ustad Abdul Halim Jafar Khan sahab. So Ustad Abdul Halim Jafar Khan sahab ji's son, Ustad Zunain Halim Khan, he's a dear friend of mine, just like an elder brother to me. So I have collaborated with him a lot.
Okay.
Now, collaboration with him has been a very, what I would say, lot of thought process has gone into that, because his style is something which was developed by his father and has a lot of technicalities with the playing, the bowls and the strokes on the sitar. Beautiful finger work that Ustad Abdul Halim Jafar Khan sahab ji introduced and made it part of his style. Similarly, I have bowls which Papa introduced in our style. So these two styles really gel with each other. So when you do collaborations, I personally feel it should not be collaboration of names. It should be a genuine collaboration of styles, so that you can combine something and give something new to the listeners.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the reasons that amongst many of the names that you took, and apart from that others also, I may not have collaborated with them directly on stage, but then with those with whom I have collaborated, it's been where the styles can gel. Because it shouldn't happen that two musicians on stage and there's an imbalance of the recital. So that is very important. Other than that, we definitely get to hear each other in some concerts and all at times. And the beautiful part is that I think not only the children but disciples have taken this forward, and it's important that we stay together and take Indian classical music forward. So like last year in 2024, we introduced, not introduced, but we announced 22nd June, which happens to be my father, Pandit Sopori's birth anniversary now. So 22nd June as the World Santoor Day. And apart from various students of my father, from China, from Argentina, who joined in online because we couldn't have invited them that time. It was a little difficult by the time we decided, we would be celebrating this day as the World Santur Day. And we had another disciple from Delhi. I also performed. And we also had a disciple of Pandit Shivakumar Sharma ji, Pandit Satish Vyas ji. And so, again, it was not a collaboration of two Santur players, but it was a collaboration of thought. That
Ideas.
it's a Santur day and we should have Santur players from all families of Santur. So I believe in that it's not necessary that two individuals have to sit on stage and collaborate. You could collaborate emotionally as well.
Definitely. So Indian classical music is the ultimate maths, where everything is built on a precise adherence to the laws of rhythm and notes. And at the same time, you, like all other musicians, are constantly improvising. So what is more in your piece? Is it more craftsmanship and calculation, or more spontaneity and inspiration?
Well, techniques are very important. But when we talk about techniques, the technical part should not become so important for a musician that you lose the soul. So you have to maintain a balance between the craftsmanship and soul. That is very important. Now when it comes to mathematics, as you said, now whether we are good in maths or not, but in calculation we are very good. But that's the system. We divide beats, what we call as laikari. So if I say 1, 1, so it's 4 quarters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So I can simply divide it in any manner. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2. Yeah. Exactly. And so this is laikari. But it's not so simple. There is further division of that. And there is even further division of that. So it makes it very complicated, and you have to devote a lot of time. You have to practice the riyaz, what we call, so that this becomes like a spontaneous thought in your life. And if you want to do this division, it's there. So if I have to say 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's there in the system, I don't have to count it. If it has to be 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. It's there. If it's 9, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3. It just happens. But because we have practiced it, so it happens. The other is, which is very special of my style, which is called the Chandkari. Now Chandkari is a very complex rhythmic pattern. You can even have a simple one, but basically the division is very different. It's not merely dividing 1 into 4 or 5. It's a phrase which you have to squeeze in between the beats that you have. So say for example, one of the chants of my father, and we played in the concert. So 1, da 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 da, da 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 da, and we do filling in the part which is empty. So da 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 da, da 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 da. The cycle will remain like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Da 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 da
As a drum.
da 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 da. This is a very simple chant, very beautiful one, but a very simple chant. But then 1 da 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 da. Now this is a chant. If you start counting this, it's not possible. You have to learn this. You have to learn it. You have to memorize it.
Automatically, you can play it.
I can play it automatically only if I have practiced it.
Yeah.
You have to learn this. There is no other way out. See, Laikari, once you learn, you can do it on stage. Chandkari you can't do on stage. Chandkari is more to do with soul. Your entire system has to get dissolved into Laikari. Only then you can achieve Chandkari. But in Laikari, if you even learn little basics of Laikari like a small kid, you can go onto the stage and do little work. But in Chandkari you can't do anything. You have to understand the entire system. Only then it will come. Otherwise what will happen is, because as I said, it's a phrase. Maybe the rest of the world might not understand what you are doing. But you would know that you are compromising. So if you want to lie to your own self, you can do that. But if you don't want to do that, that's why in Indian tradition, they say Chintan is important. This Chintan is important both in spirituality as well as Indian classical, in music. What is Chintan? It's sitting with your own self and thinking about the thing. So for us, Riyaz is not taking, say for example, I play Santoor. Sarigama Padrisa, Sanidapa Magrisa, Sarigama Padrisa, Sanidapa Magrisa. Do re mi fa sol la ti and
Yes.
back. No, that's not Riyaz. Riyaz becomes complete when the kalam is not in my hand and I am still there, thinking what can be done. That's why many musicians you might have seen, many legendary musicians, you might be speaking to them, but they would be doing some counting in their hand. They might be speaking to you, but their inner system is somewhere else. So, maths is very important in music, in our music, because those divisions and all have to be, because the beauty is a mix of rhythmic patterns and the musical patterns. And when we bring them together, the raga takes its shape. And all the divisions don't look good in all the ragas. There are certain divisions which will look good in some ragas and certain divisions which will look good in some other ragas. Not all Chandkari can be done in all the ragas. But it's basically practice. That you devote your life, and I think one of the biggest disadvantages for, I'll talk about my music, Indian classical musician would be social media. Because it takes time. And that is the time which a musician needs to put for Chintan. But these days social media has become so important that there is a compromise which the youngsters have started doing.
Yes.
They are focusing more on putting the stuff online rather than thinking about the growth that can happen when they sit. I don't say that you have to neglect social media, because that's the requirement of the day. But I think somewhere a balance needs to be done. I am not able to make that balance, so my social media is really bad. So and I'm happy with this imbalance that my social media is bad and I focus on my music. I would not love to live if this becomes the other way around, where social media goes up and my music goes down. Because, as I said in one of my interviews, that overnight you can become a star, but not a musician. An artist doesn't become a star in terms of his art, his artistry overnight. It never happens. These are two fields where nothing happens overnight. I mean, it's actually for all fields, but these two fields are something, no matter what grace you have, unless you put in hours and hours and weeks and months and years of practice, nothing will happen. Spirituality and music. That's why we find Indian musicians very much inclined in spirituality, because these both are so connected. And even if a musician is not spiritually advanced, but he'll be at a level where he'll be very different from others. That's because the music itself takes the musician forward. It's the sound. The sound creates miracles. What is ultimate? It's the sound. And we are practices of sound. We are just trying to recreate what saints and sages have heard in their spiritual journey, and we are trying to create those sounds through our instruments. So it's very important that the practice is not compromised, and then all these things become actually immaterial, I would say. At one stage, it really doesn't matter whether the division is of 5 or 7 or 9 or 10. What matters is the content that you are creating. And these things then become like ABCD for us. It's okay.
Just now you answered for next question about goal of your creativity. Okay, we understood.
So could you share the story behind the creation of Ragas Nirmala? When you performed it in front of Shrimataji, what was the experience like, and how did Shrimataji respond to the piece that you created?
So there are 2 ragas which have been created in Shrimataji's name. The first one is Rag Nirmal Ranjani, created by Papa. The other is Rag Nirmal Kaus, which I created, but certainly under Papa's guidance. Rag Nirmal Ranjani, it was something which just got created I would say certainly it was Shrimataji's blessings and will that it got created the way it got created, because Papa got a call that he has to perform for Shrimataji, and we never met Shrimataji before that. In fact, we didn't know much about
Somebody
Shrimataji.
invite you for this?
Somebody invited us. And when we reached there, so Papa was supposed to perform somewhere in the evening around 6:30, 7 o'clock. And after every musician, they would say Shrimataji is saying that slightly later. And 7:30 became 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, and it was midnight. But we had received the information that Shrimataji wants that Papa would perform at midnight. So Papa generally said, what is the occasion and why is there so much of a delay and all? So we came to know that it's actually Shrimataji's birthday.
Oh.
Oh.
So Papa opened his santoor and sat for a little while and started playing something which none of us had heard earlier. And by the time we got the intimation that Shri Mataji is saying, now we'll have Papa on stage. And that is when I saw Shri Mataji for the first time. And Papa went there and he said, Shri Mataji, it's your birthday. And we of course didn't know it was Shri Mataji's birthday. We didn't even carry bouquets with us. So Papa said, what can I offer you? There's nothing. I can only offer my music. So here's a new raga which I've just thought of. And I'll do more study to it because I have to check the Shastra, the grammar.
Yeah.
But this is Rag Nirmal Ranjani. But somewhere I feel that though we didn't personally know Shri Mataji, but Shri Mataji knew us as her children. And that was the time when we had to come into the lap of Shri Mataji, of Mother. So she designed the things that way. And then after some years, I was sitting and came up with a scale which Papa rectified, improved. And we had a raga, Rag Nirmal Kaus, which became extremely popular amongst the Sehjogis and even general public. So just before the concert, I sat with Papa. I think we were supposed to go to Italy. So I told Papa, I said, Papa, because my style is I sing the compositions. I said, there is no composition. So why don't you write one? He said, yeah, let's write a composition. Give me pen and paper. And what I saw, it was sheer blessing of Shri Mataji and miracle. Because it cannot happen. Hardly for a minute or two, Papa was thinking and he started writing. And without a break, he wrote the entire composition. And it's a lengthy composition. It's not 4-line composition. And so Nirmal Kaus, though I made it, but this composition, which I think all the Sehjogis know, is written by Papa and composed by him. And that is Jaya Jaya Nirmal Janani, Jaya Jaya Nirmal Janani, Masadeva Dhyana Magana, Sahastrar Basat Chin Me Karat Par Nath Mandal, Tum ho Sahib Man Me Utar Harat Pir Dukh हो पाप विनाशनी जय जय निर्मल जननी तुम विदेश तुम सन अटक्यो मन मेरो हर पल इतनी अरज करत माँ दरस दीज दासन को मिलत परम आनंद जय जय निर्मल जननी. It's a lengthy composition and Papa started writing and in next 2 or 3 minutes he had written the entire composition. It can only happen when she wants it.
Definitely.
And then there have been so many ragas, though they have not been directly in the name of Shri Mataji, but I made a raga. I was in Bombay that time doing a project, and all of a sudden I felt as if, suppose you open the tap of your shower, bathing shower, and suddenly, the water when it hits you, that kind of a feeling, and I had the entire structure of a raga in front of me. So I, you know, make people laugh on this. I say, well, you know, I put my name because I made this raga, but I never made it. It just came to me. And the next day I got the name also. And the name of the raga is Rag Mahakali. So though it's not directly in the name of Sri Mataji, but it's in the name of Mother. And so I made Rag Mahakali. Then I made Rag Sharda, which is another name of Mother, Goddess Sharda in Kashmir. Then I made, then there was this raga which I named after Papa in his name, Rag Bhajneshwari. And the same thing happened with the new raga that I composed, and I recently played that at Nirmal Dham also, Rag Bhagwati. It also came like this. I have never worked on the ragas which I created. I have made, I think, 5 or 6 ragas, and my contribution has that I have said, okay, made by Abhay Sopori, but it just comes. How can it come? Unless you have, you know, the blessings of the Mother. So that's why in one of the questions I told you that there is a lot of blessings of Sri Mataji in my life and in my music. I think it was her decision that I should be a musician rather than my decision.
Main point. That's why we are sitting here.
Yeah. So, do you see a distinction between Indian sacred music and Western classical music? What commonalities do they share, and how can they be enriching for people of different cultures and nations?
See, both Indian classical music and Western classical music, or European classical music as we may call it, they both have deep-rooted thought to it, very spiritual, both the forms of music. Yes, Indian classical music is very different when it comes to connecting it with spirituality, but the development of both the music forms, we can find some similarity. We have alap. They don't have that system of alap jod jhala, of course, that can't be there. But then there is the system in which they flow. They also have melodic movements which are very soft, without rhythm going along. Then they have certain melodies which are not too fast, and then of course they can have melodies which are in faster tempo. But there is a little development, and another thing that you find a graph in, say, Western music, that it goes like this, and then there is little crescendo, and then it comes down. Indian classical music, you find this graph very in a very strong manner. Now, are both the music forms the similarities that we have? See, these two are different forms of music. Now, when it comes to Indian classical music, our music is essentially solo music. We might be like 2 musicians on stage doing a duet, 3 together or 4 together, but the presentation is basically solo format, where there is a musician who has another group of musicians who are accompanying. So the main musician presents what we call as a solo recital. Even if it's a duet, the format doesn't change. Western classical music, it's orchestral music. And even if it's a smaller group, the format doesn't change. Even if it's a soloist doing something with a small group, with a chamber, or with the entire symphonic orchestra, the format doesn't change. The Western music is composition based. So you find harmonies, you find different aspects of the orchestration there, which is not here. We have a concept of harmony. Like if we have a tanpura going on, it's harmony. But harmonization of melodies is not something which happens here. Because what happens is, we may play a raga with the main note, with the starting note, the tonic note, or our sa. But there might be another raga which would be running from the third note, ga. So if somebody comes and doesn't listen to your announcement and you are harmonizing these two, he'll never understand which raga are you playing. So this harmonization effect doesn't primarily work, but then we use it. Even my father, introduced aspects of harmonization in our playing. But that harmony is not like major harmony going on or a minor harmony going on. It's according to Indian classical system. So what my father would do was, the two strikers, the kalams, in two different octaves, one playing the ascending as per the raga rule, the other playing the descending as per the raga rule. And at the same time, if it's a raga which says saregama padanisa and sanidhapa magaresa, so if you say sa re, you strike re and you strike ni, it will still go, it will gel together. But if it's a raga which is like sa ga ma dha ni sa and sa ni dha ma ga sa, so somewhere there will be a clash of notes. So Aro and Avro will keep on changing while playing that format. But essentially it was like an ascent from one hand and a descent from different hand. At some places, not the entire recital. Some sitar players use a little texture of two notes at some places. But this is not part of our system. Our system is solo based. It's a system wherein the creation happens on stage when you perform. This doesn't happen in Western classical music. There the conductor decides whatever is to be done. He might change the tempo a bit up and down, or his interpretation of maybe putting the strings little, they'll come with the more volume, and maybe the other conductors would have thought of putting the woodwinds in the forefront, but some conductor might think, why not to put the second violin in the forefront? It's a conductor's playground. Here, it is the soloist's playground. When we play, we have practiced it. We have practiced the raga. If we have not practiced the raga, we cannot perform. But while practicing it, there is something else which we have practiced, which is creation on spot. So the rules are set. The ascent and the descent, the aro and the avro is fixed. The notes are fixed. So a discipline is set. But then how to score a goal is left to the player. You can teach the player a footballer or a hockey player, how to score a goal. That you will go like this and this and this and you have to shoot. But then, once you're on the field, no theory works. So Indian classical music is not something which will work with paper in hand.
Yeah.
You might have the notes written in front of you. You have to sit with your guru. You have to understand the raga. My father told me, start treating a raga like a philosophy. Some 15 years back he told me. He said, because the raga will tell you something. So understand your raga, what that raga is telling you. What is that structure? And that meaning will keep on changing every time. So year by year, the raga remains the same. The discipline that has been set remains the same. But your interpretation changes.
Because your mood changes.
It changes. The same raga which I have created, every time I am playing it, something new comes up.
What happens? I'm author, but something.
Yeah. And there are so many things play a role in that. If you have an audience, like if I play for Sahaj Yogis, I go into the depth of my recital. They might not understand that depth, but they'll understand the feel of that depth. Because that's a gift which we have received from Shri Mataji. A Sahaj Yogi might not know the difference between a Marwa and a Purya.
As me.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you will understand the soul of the raga. You will understand the expression of the raga.
Vibrations too.
You will understand the vibrations.
Yeah.
And what is a raga? It is a bouquet of sound. And what is sound? It's vibration. So, Indian classical music, why we refer is not because we practice Indian classical music. No. But it is something which has evolved with humanity. And humanity has evolved with this music. So music has evolved the humanity and humanity has evolved the music. They both have, parented each other, whatever the correct word would be. So it makes Indian classical music very special. But yes, having said that, Western classical music is absolutely beautiful, and we have had such great composers, conductors, performers. If we talk about composers, be it Bach, be it Mozart, one of my father's favorite, Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, and all of these. And such beautiful pianists and such wonderful soloists, conductors, be it all
Violinists.
these, yeah.
Also David Garrett.
Absolutely, absolutely. Such a beautiful musician. I mean, I've heard his music and I've actually loved his music. It's something which I've heard again and again. It's absolutely beautiful. So, it's not that, it won't be fair to say that Indian classical music is the richest. Yes, the system is such that its effect on human system is tremendous, no doubt. But then any form of music is good. I personally feel a person should be connected with the sound.
Yes.
Any creative art. But then, why music? Because of sound. And if you are connected to the sound, a lot of problems are actually, they don't touch you. And even if they touch you, they don't harm you as much as they could have had. Because with the vibrations of the sounds around you, a lot changes. Why do musicians look so young? I mean, did my father look 75?
Absolutely. See,
He never looked. I mean, people thought he was in his
I
50s.
never believed
Yeah.
that he's like my father.
My grandfather, he was 98 when he passed away. He looked hardly 70, in his 70s. I mean, his face just didn't reflect his age. What helps is the sound.
Love and harmony combined.
Yes. And my father would always say one thing, that if you have music, it triggers your mind in such a way that you are forced to think. If you think, half of the problems are solved.
Yeah.
You know, music stops you from taking sudden decisions. It builds patience within you. I mean, look at the condition of humans. We go into the car, I mean, this happens not everywhere, but it happens here. And we start honking. God knows to whom are we trying to, show that we are on the road. But basically, the patience level has gone down. And then when you compare this patience level across the world in all the fields, be it political, be
Yes.
it any social subject, anything, what is lacking is harmony. And what is music? It helps in harmony. It helps. That's why we say music is helpful in peace. Well, by playing music, peace is not going to come, but it will trigger those aspects of the brain which will make you understand that peace is really important. And I have seen guns dropping in front of music. I've seen that in Kashmir.
You have collaborated and played with renowned European classical music ensembles. For instance, who initiated the joint performance with the German Philharmonic Orchestra led by the legendary Zubin Mehta, and are there any plans for similar future projects?
So folk music ensemble is something which Papa introduced in 1974 in Kashmir. So apart from my father's basic educational background, he did his masters in English literature, along with double masters in music in Santur and Sitar, and additional graduate study of psychology and philosophy. And then he went to USA, to University of I think it was Washington University, Washington University, where he did his additional graduate study of Western music in compositions. In 1974, he came back and made a lot of changes in the Kashmir music scene. Like he introduced orchestras, he introduced choirs. The music of Kashmir started changing, and in this course and this time, what is actually called as the Renaissance of music in Kashmir, starting from 1974 till 1990, after which we had to shift to Delhi, he composed more than 12 or 13,000 songs. It's a huge number. I mean, if you go through Papa's biodata profile somewhere, it says 8,000, but this number is actually more than 12,000 or 13,000.
I heard about only 5,000.
On Google, maybe.
Yeah, it could be. but more than that number, it could also be that they are talking about Kashmiri Sufi compositions.
Yes.
That number is around 5,000-6,000.
Mhm.
But in these compositions and all the work that he did, the concept of orchestration came into Kashmir. Starting with a small group of one rabab, one sarangi, one santoor, one tumbak, one matka, one tabla, one guitar. That anybody who had an instrument in Kashmir, my father would call them and start teaching them. So he got a bunch of violin players, he got other instruments also, he got some western instruments also, we didn't have a piano there, so we had a keyboard there. And gradually this number started increasing and orchestral feel entered properly into Kashmiri music. In 2003, there was a concert held in Delhi in Kamani Auditorium. It was done by international Indian Council for Cultural Relations. That was my first orchestra which I conducted. Barely composed it, but I conducted it. It was followed by Papa's orchestra. In 2004, I did my first compositional work of orchestras. And these are all folk music ensembles. The musicians were Indian musicians. We had musicians from Delhi, Bombay, and Mumbai, basically. And gradually, 2003-04 till 2010, I did many orchestral programs. Some in Delhi, some in Pune. And in 2013, we got a call from German ambassador, Mr. Steiner. And he said he wanted to meet Papa and me regarding some work that he's planning in Srinagar. So when we met him, he shared the complete idea. And of course, he had been briefed by many people that if you want to do orchestral work, then you need to, meet Soporis. And that's when I got this wonderful opportunity, and we had Bavarian State Orchestra. Now, for me, this was my biggest orchestra with which I worked, one of the most prestigious ones of the world. Because Bavarian State Orchestra is certainly one of the best orchestras that we have. And then on top of it, to have the legendary maestro, Mr. Zubin Mehta, to conduct it, that was the best thing that could have happened as a composer and conductor. But what I really liked was when I spoke to him and I said, do I compose Kashmiri melodic structures and send the rest to him? So when I spoke to Mr. Zubin Mehta and I said, should I compose some Kashmiri structures and then send it to him, and then they would do the orchestration part there. And his reply came, don't you do orchestras? I said, well, I do. So he said, then why would you ask somebody else to do it? Do it yourself. And I really liked that because I had seen that with my father, to open the arms and heart for youngsters. And I saw the same with Mr. Zubin Mehta. And then I composed the entire orchestra, and we had this composition coming up as a tribute to the Valley of Kashmir.
Could you tell us a little bit about your band? How do you select the musicians for it, and how is the repertoire created? Do you generally lean towards a specific direction of Indian traditional music or classical music, or do you remain flexible in choosing the material for your performance?
So basically, apart from Santoor, I also learned um, compositional work from my father, and in that process, I learned how to compose and conduct orchestras, ensembles. In fact, the orchestra that we were just talking about, that I was only able to compose it because I have tried and tried to understand the nature of all the instruments. As a composer, I know what instrument gives me what kind of range, what kind of flavor, what kind of sound. Because as a composer, it shouldn't happen that you tell a guitar player, oh, can you do this? And he says, well, this is not possible on the instrument. Or you tell, a double bass player, oh, can you play this in the octave down, 4 octaves down? He'll say, please go to a viola player and ask him to do that. You should know what a violin does, what a viola does, what cello, the sound range at least, what cello will offer you, what a double bass will offer you. And then, if it's my Indian classical recital, so my choice is tabla, then it's a pakhavaj, because these are very important part of my style. At times I use ghatam, the Carnatic instrument, and seldom mridangam also. I can have some multiple percussions, but then it's only when I'm trying to present some compositions also. If it's a pure classical recital, it would be tabla, pakhavaj, at times ghatam. Then since I do these orchestras, so if there is budget and somebody tells me to do fusion work, I land up doing a classical fusion. And my my classical fusion is not a typical fusion with drums, guitar, keyboard, and my instrument with a tabla. No, it's basically a composition. It's a composition which I present, and then everybody is a part of that composition, including me, as a santoor player. That's a different thing, that I'll make it a santoor based composition. So santoor would be leading, but then because it's a composition, so even if it's a raga, so I'll have a composition based on a raga. But yes, it's not a classical recital, because the moment you get harmonizations and everything in place, the raga tends to get distorted. So I say it's a piece based on a raga. At times I get requests for the Kashmiri fusion work, which I really enjoy doing. So again, what I do is I select compositions, I play compositions, and then everybody is part of the composition. So what I normally prefer is a double bass or an electric double bass. I may have a bass guitar, but I always prefer an electric double bass or a double bass. An acoustic guitar, a keyboard which primarily comes with piano sound. Then I have a range of rhythmic instruments like tabla, pakhavaj, ghatam, Kashmiri instruments, the clay pot, matka, the tumbaknari, some ethnic percussions as well, the Kashmiri rabag, the Kashmiri sarangi, and I supplement and complement it with my vocals. So I always tend to work on a composition because, as my father would also say, and many great artists have said, that a fusion can land up as confusion.
Fusion,
So,
fusion.
because what happens is, many of the times it can actually result as a fusion of instruments, not fusion of music. So if it's fusion music, and that's what I did in my orchestra with Bavarian State Orchestra, I had shades of violin pieces, but at the same time they were playing Kashmiri music also. And I had certain pieces which normally the Rabab players don't play, but I made attempts so that they could memorize that because they can't read music. And to bring in something which is really meaningful, and I tell the same to all the students of the Gharana, what my father told me, that we should be ready with three answers. What we do. So what are we doing? What are we composing? How do we do that? So what are the ways of developing that? And then a very important question which needs to be answered: why? Why are you doing it? You should have an answer to it. My father would always say that an answer that, oh, it just happened, that has no space.
Yes.
You should have a logical interpretation, you should have a logical thinking to it. Then whether it is classical, whether that is compositional, whether that is a fusion, why are you doing it? So if you are doing a duet, why are you doing a duet? As I said in one of the questions, that I prefer a duet when I have a common factor in place, which is blending the styles. So, sorry. So for me, composition is important. Then comes the musician. I prefer soulful musicians. I prefer musicians who themselves love composing, because then they can add more flavor to the entire thing. I may tell them, okay, you have to play this particular chord, but then I can't teach them the feel of playing that chord.
And how can you answer for these main questions? Why are you doing your music?
Yes, it feels that maybe you can't have an answer to why. But suppose if I'm playing classical and I play da 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 ra da 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 ra da. Now, while playing, I'll start switching the way I hold the striker, the kalam, and the way the strokes happen. So that is an answer which comes here. Why? Because I'm thinking of presenting something which is a vocal oriented step. So dara, dara 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 da. So if this is da and this is ra, so dara, these are the bowls of Indian classical music. So dara, dara 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 da. Now this is instrumental, but de na. Now dum 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 dum. This is not what I was singing. So I have a different way of taking the kalam back and forth. So you need to answer these questions, and this becomes a part of your life. While you are performing, because my father taught me in such a way that these three questions keep on coming and I keep on answering, and it's like, okay, this is it. And That's the beauty of a performer. That we are told that multitasking is something which is difficult. We do multitasking. We are thinking of what we are playing, and this is what I tell all the students of Sopori tradition, that while you are playing, you need to think what has been done, what can be done, and at the same time explore these things. Your mind can't be just on one step. You have to make it versatile. These are the questions, these are the answers to the question of what, how, and why.
Are you familiar with Central Asian music? How do you think it has influenced Indian music given its ancient tradition? Are there any musical techniques, methods, or motifs in your compositions that can be traced back to the Mughal master's legacy?
See, they say Indian music till 10th century was kind of common in the entire region. So there was no categorization as such of Carnatic music, North Indian classical music. But somewhere around the 10th century, due to the various influences which started happening towards the northern side of the India, uh, be it the say Mughal influence, and gradually the Central Asian influence which came to the country. Southern India retained the purity of the music which was there. But changes started happening in the north. So we had Haveli Sangeet. Haveli Sangeet was basically primarily the devotional music, and sung primarily in praise of Lord. Then Drupad came in, and in Drupad we had compositions which were slightly different from that of the Haveli Sangeet. Later, with the impact of the entire Mughal system, there were changes in the Khayal system, and lots of compositions started happening in praises of the king. So from compositions hailed to the Almighty, to seasons, to rulers, there was a change. And then we had, and musicians started, different creations. They thought, oh, we could do something like this, additional, but the Drupad system didn't allow it, so Khayal came in. They wanted to do something more, okay, this is not allowed in Khayal, so let's do this in Thumri. So Thumri came in. So we had light, classical also. But influences are always there. This could be musical influence, this could be the language influence. So like if we talk about Kashmir, so we had Persian. Even in my family, masters knew quite a bit of Arabic language also. Persian, they were scholars of Persian, they were great masters of Sanskrit. And of course, Hindi, Urdu, Kashmiri, they knew all these languages. But this is something really beautiful, that Kashmir as such didn't get so much impacted by what I would say, the sound of Central Asia or the Middle East. So though there have been influences, but the core nature of the music of Kashmir, the sound of Kashmir, the thought of Kashmir, that didn't change. So even if we had Sufi influence in the 14th century, but what is Sufi thought? It's a connection with the One.
Glorifying.
In Kashmir, we already had that thought in Shaivism. Be connected to the ultimate energy.
Yeah.
So somewhere the Shaivism and Sufism blended in a way that though the influence came in, but it couldn't take away the Kashmiri thought, and it still remains there. That's the beauty of Kashmir. In many areas, the impact of the influence was quite a lot, but in Kashmir it was very different. I personally love the world music culture that we have, because each culture gives you something which is very unique, with immense dimension, and as a listener, as a student of music, I really love that sound. I love those musical patterns. Now, if we have Tumbak in Kashmir, we have the Darabuka or the Dumbak in the Central Asia, Middle East and all. The rhythm patterns are totally different. In Kashmir, it's dig chak, or dig chak, chak. But look at what they do there with the Dumbak and with the Darabuka. That work is not done in Kashmir. They don't have that finger movement on the instrument also. So though influences happen, lot of absorption start happening, you take a lot, you give a lot, but then if the culture is able to retain its beauty, then it talks about the great heritage that culture would have had.
Yes.
And even though we have had so much of influence for centuries, Kashmir retained the beauty of its culture. And apart from that, I have done some collaboration with Iranian musicians. One collaboration happened in China a couple of years back with Iranian maestro Mr. Simek, a wonderful musician, wonderful santoor player and composer. And another collaboration happened in America about some 20 years back with Maestro Dr. Shagafi, a very senior Iranian santoor player there. And so I've really, I love the sound of their santoor also, but of course our santoor is very different. And if you go online, you might even find that many of the sites or the historians, they talk about that Kashmiri santoor is actually Iranian santoor. You know, the Kashmiri santoor came from Iran. We don't believe in that theory. Iranian santoor is beautiful. It has a wonderful sound according to the culture, according to the sound needed for that particular music. This santoor is different. We find the references of our santoor in manuscripts which go back more than 5,000 years back.
Wow.
So if we had santoor, Kashmiri santoor with us in BC, irrespective of, forget about the number of years, even if we had santoor around 1st or the 2nd or the 3rd century, there was no need to adopt it in the 14th century. So that is something where historians go wrong, and my research, which I've already completed, and perhaps by the year end it should be there in the publications, I talk about the sanctity of Kashmiri Santoor, how it is deeply rooted and deeply connected with the Kashmiri Shaivite thought. And that's what my father said, that Kashmiri Santoor is not just a mere playing instrument. It's a what we call as yantra, and the Sri Yantra. If you see the Sri Yantra, in between you find the shape of the Santoor.
Yeah.
It's not coincident. And why it is not a coincidence, we find the answers in Shaivism. We find the answers to every question that you might come up with. You know, that, okay, fine, it's an upward and a downward triangle, then where is the triangle? It's a trapezium. So then where is the triangle? The answer is in Shaivism. Why 100 strings? Why not? If they were 100, they could have also been 102. It could have been 105, it could have been 90. Why 100? Because it's a combination of 96 plus 4. There is reason to 96 plus 4. It's not 100, it's 96 plus 4. Then it's 100. And why 100? Why this 96 plus 4? Again, the answer is in Shaivism. So, Kashmiri Santoor has its own distinct identity, its own individual character, its own sound. Yet, the variants of Santoor across the globe, be it the Chinese dulcimer, Yenchin, be it the Iranian Santoor, absolutely beautiful. I love Iranian Santoor. In fact, I was about to buy one, but then I was told that it's too difficult to carry, right, not too many instruments with me. So I didn't get it, but I might even land up getting one instrument. I have lots of, instruments, even if I'm not playing them, but there's a collection of instruments. And then the dulcimers across the world, whether that is Greece, the Santoori in Greece, the variants in Iran and other places, the entire belt of Central Asia, Middle East, the dulcimer of the Europe, the American dulcimer, which is a little changed variation from the European dulcimer. They have their own sound, and I think what we need to do is respect cultures, respect their history, and not try to take out threads from every place. I'll tell you an incident that when the Bavarian State Orchestra happened, so after my composition was presented, Mr. Zubin Mehta presented one of the compositions of Beethoven. So on one TV interview, some political expert said that Mr. Zubin Mehta deliberately chose that composition because it was during the time of some revolution. And my answer was, for God's sake, can't you relish the music? I said, by playing a music piece which was composed during some revolution, if you play that in Kashmir, nothing is going to happen because nobody understands Western classical music there. So, at times we should just let the ears do the work and keep the mind at calm place. The brain should be switched off at times. It's very important for humanity, for overall human development, for overall peace across the world, that we shouldn't be using our brain all the time. And I always tell people that listen to music through your cells, not just ears. Let your body absorb the music. It's not important that you have to understand what raga I play. It's not important that you have to understand, you should know what chand I played. Just enjoy the music. I may not understand the intricacies of some form of music somewhere. But God has given me immense, what I would say, enough brains to simply sit and enjoy that music. And in Indian system, we always say one of the greatest musicians, Tansen. So it's T, Tansen. And to the ears in India, we say Kaan. So they say, if you are not a Tansen, at least be a Kansen. So if you're not a musician, at least be a music connoisseur.
Yes. Dancing, dancing.
Yeah.
It's again we are answering for this third questions why, because of Hikmah, because we have to have balance, peace inside us, all of humanity, and have a friendship between us. And last question: if we have a possibility to invite you in Kazakhstan, what are you thinking about this? Is it will be interesting for you or not?
I would really love to visit Kazakhstan and perform. Two reasons. The music of Kazakhstan is beautiful, just like various old cultures. And Kazakhstan culture is very deep and really beautiful. And with my father, I had the fortune to work with a couple of Kazakh musicians who were in India many years back. So I was in that project assisting my father. And at that time also there was this thought that Papa and I would be invited to Kazakh, and that never happened. So maybe now, because I always feel that if Papa is not physically there, but he's there through his santur. So maybe we are there sometime, and really looking forward to that if that happens.
It was my dream to invite both of you.
Yeah.
But maybe not. But and can you compose something in Kazakh style, maybe for our spectators?
Yes, I can, because as I said, I had worked on that project. So there is, I won't say similarity, but then, the beauty of music is that even if the two forms are totally different, but there is a commonality. And that common factor is the sound. It's those 7 notes which are same. I may call it Sarega, I may call it CD, I may call it Dorema, I may call it whatever. The thing is, the notes are the same. It's the expression which changes. And I think combining the expression of Kazakh with Kashmiri in general, and the Kashmiri sound, and overall Indian sound,
Yes.
would be really wonderful, because that is something what was done in that project also. Combining santur with the beautiful Kazakh instruments, one of the bowing instruments that you have, it's almost 2 octaves up. It's really really beautiful. What do you call it? E. Forgotten the name.
Something to start with E.
I think.
Music or
No,
composition?
the instrument.
The
Instrument.
Kazakh instrument.
What's the bowing instrument? It's a single string, I think.
We have an instrument kobuz, like a type of violin, maybe.
Yeah.
You said about saz. I heard saz. What it means? It looks like this.
Yeah, but they are all similar, but
Yeah.
they have little difference.
Maybe
Like
about it.
even the Saz of Kashmir and the Iranian instrument, uh, they have slight difference. So, but it's beautiful. I really look forward to it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Спасибо
Thank you so
большое
much.
уважаемому Абхае Рустуму Сопори за это интервью. Сегодня, 3 марта, в Дели, в районе, называемом Нойда. Район Дели, большой очень район Дели.
It was a pleasure speaking to you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Thank you.
Dhanyavad. Shukriya. What can we say? मैं भारत से बहुत प्यार करता हूँ.
Thank you.